Welcome to this segment of 5 Minutes with KeRusso. If you didn't watch the previous segment, I want to ask you to pause, go back and watch that one right now. It's entitled Snapshots. Watch that one, and this one will make a whole lot more sense. We're in Genesis chapter 5 today, a little bit of chapter 4, looking at future, looking at family, generations, looking at your future. And we're seeing what happened with people back then and learning from them, hopefully. Last week, or the last segment, we looked at a guy by the name of Cain and his family line. Cain set his family in a direction of wandering away from God. And you got to the seventh person in that family line, and it's not good. It's not good. Well, it's seventh from Adam. It didn't turn out good when you walked away from God. We're looking at another family line today, and it gets introduced in chapter 4, verse 26. You'll read this statement. So at that time, people began to call on the name of the Lord. Now, that's not talking about Cain's family line, but about the one that's fixing to be told. To call on the name of the Lord is to take hold of God, to really hang tight to Him, walk close to Him. That's what's going to happen. And chapter 5 and verse 1, you read about Adam having a son by the name of Seth. And this family line is going to be a line of people who are going to walk close with God and hang on tight to Him. They're going to call on Him. Now remember that number 7 is the number stands for perfection. And the seventh person in this genealogy is going to be a snapshot, a perfect snapshot of what it means to walk with God, to call on Him, to be part of a family that does that. That seventh person appears in verse 21 of Genesis 5. Let me read for you. When Enoch had lived 65 years, he became the father of Methuselah. And after he became the father of Methuselah, Enoch walked faithfully with God 300 years and had other sons and daughters. And altogether, Enoch lived a total of 365 years. Now, 365, that's a long time to live. But when you look at this family line, you realize it's not very long at all because, there are people who lived 900 years, 800 years, 900 years. His son, Methuselah, is going to live 969 years. Enoch only lives 365. Well, what's going on with Enoch? Well, I'll tell you what's going on. The writer tells you what's going on when you read the next verse. Enoch walked faithfully with God. Then he was no more because God took him away. Now, what that means is this. God's looking at Enoch, this perfect snapshot of this family line, and Enoch's hanging on so tight to God and walking with Him that God says, wow, you come home and live with me now. You don't have to live any longer on this earth. Come live with me now. Can you imagine God saying that about any person? Well, Enoch's at that pinnacle, and God says that about him. He is a snapshot of what happens when people set their sights on walking with God, calling on Him, hanging on tight to Him. And when generation after generation will do that, good things happen. This family genealogy will take you a whole different place than what Cain's did. Now, I'll tell you something else that happens. You read the rest of this chapter, you're going to come across a guy by the name of Noah. And Noah's not a perfect man, but he was an impressive man in his own right as far as God was concerned. And God looked around at all the people of the earth at that time, and He just saw everybody just horribly messing up and doing bad things, becoming so wicked. God says, I just got to end it. This can't go on any further. And He's going to send a flood. He's going to kill everybody except for Noah and his family. And Noah becomes the foundation or the building block for another shot for mankind. Now, how does that relate to us? When you think about you and your future, or your family and your family's future, and you think generations, you have the opportunity to set things in motion that are going to impact generations of your family. Now, your family line before you might actually have been something like Cain's, where people just wandering away from God. But you don't have to stay that way. You could be a transition person and say, let's go a different direction. Let's hang on tight to God. And you'll get to see good things come to you, your children, your grandchildren. If they follow that pathway, great things happen. Who knows? You might even have a descendant who's going to end up shaping the whole world. Never know. I would encourage you to set your feet in the direction of walking with God. Hang on tight to Him. Call your family to do the same thing and experience God's blessings. All right. Listen, on Wednesday, I'm going to do an extra. Tune in on Wednesday. It'll be a little bit longer, but it's going to be good. Leave a note if you want to, a comment. Send me an email, booksbykerusso@gmail.com. Have a blessed day.